Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name, my name was Bhuvaneshwar. Basically, I belongs to the computer science engineering department. Currently, I am pursuing my BTech undergraduate degree from Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Like this whole PPT is about about whole PPT is regarding the concept video, and regarding the subject of English. So, without any further delay, let us move to the next slides. Yeah. Yeah, let me explain. Let me introduce my topic. For this PPT, my whole for this PPT, I am going to discuss about the topic. Different. What are the differences between active and passive listening? Yeah, like in this whole PPT, we are going to discuss about various. Mainly, what are the differences? I will introduce that. I will table of when coming to the table of content, I will discuss about what is the major difference between active listening and passive listening. How to overcome the passive listening. How to become an active listener, and I will give some conclusion points and each and everything related to what are the main difference between active and passive listening. Okay. See, first, what is passive versus active listening? Passive versus active listening. The difference. Passive and active listening are often distinguishable by specific actions involved in each types of listening. Effective listeners can be passive listening in some situations but are more likely to use active listening in many scenarios which compromisation, recall and engagement are important. In this PPT, we discuss the difference between passive and active listening, discuss the benefits of active listening and how more efficiently we can use active listening. Like passive listening means without concentrating anything, we will listen. That how to overcome this. I am going to briefly explain how to overcome the passive listening and to be a active listener. Yeah, you can see this picture briefly describes what the major one picture words one picture worth thousand words, right? You can clearly understand, like the first picture he is very conscious about how what she is saying even with a low voice, but the second picture even he is giving a good lecture but the listeners are not so active. We can consider this in passive listening and the first picture as an active listening. See, what is passive versus active listening? The main difference between active and passive listening is that active listening is more effective than passive listening, right? While with active listening you can understand the topic or speech which was delivered by the speaker very clearly, I think. Yeah, you can understand even you can, if you have doubts you will ask. In passive listening, sometimes you won't even listen what the speaker is trying to say or trying to convey. You just you were present over there. There are multiple types in even in active and passive listening, but passive listening basically defines you don't have an interest and you won't even listen. Yeah, you just were presented, you presented the speech or before the speaker, but you are actually not. The main difference between active and passive listening is that active listening is more effective than the passive listening because individuals practicing active listening can comprehend the speaker's words more easily and also show the speaker that they are paying attention. He is an he see. I will explain briefly again. Here is an explanation for each type of listening. First, we will consider what is an active listening. Individuals practicing active listening pay close attention to the speakers and the intention behind their words while consistently showing the speaker that they are fully understood those ideas being expressed. Like in active listenings, the listeners, they will play close attention to the speaker and they will try to understand the intention behind their words. They just won't listen the words for the sake of the speech. Like they try to understand the emotions and intention of the speaker while consistently showing the speaker that they are fully understand and ideas being expressed. So yeah, individuals they are actively listening often nod their heads, respond to the statement, which words that show they are listening, and use other forms of body language to convey they are fully engaged. Even the active listeners will be very active while they in front of the speaker. The body language and the emotions they carry will shows to the speaker that they are paying full attention, and we can even categorize the listener by just watching their body language and the emotions, whether he's an active listener or passive listener. This form of listening not only helps individuals retain more information from their conversation, but also gives the speaker a more positive impression of the listener's ability to pay attention to their words. Like as I explained, this form of listening not only helps individual retain more information from their conversation, but also gives the speaker a more due to the active listeners, the speaker who are delivering the speech may get more motivation to deliver more speech, and he even gives more information than what he required. Like due to the due to the active listeners, this may happen to the speaker to deliver more speech even he is more enthusiastic towards the listeners. Like, you can see this kind of attitude from the active listeners. Now when coming to the passive listening, yeah, passive listening basically won't be that better, but let us see how can we justify a person as a passive listener, or how can you justify this listening process as passive listening. Like the a key difference between active and passive listening is response of the listener. Yeah, everything was depends on the listener, whether if you want to categorize the person as an active or passive listener. First we should try to understand his behavior. By seeing that, we can say whether it is an active or passive listening. When using passive listening, the listener don't respond to the speaker. Instead, professionals practicing active listening just process the information they are receiving without connecting or it to reacting. Like passive listeners won't even react to the what the speaker is saying. Even if the questions were asked, the passive listeners won't respond for the questions. Sometimes even the passive listeners may disturb the whole speech or the class. This is the one of the key points which you should note about the passive listening or passive listeners. While many individuals prefer to use active listening in a professional setting, passive listening is still appropriate in some situations, such as during an academic lecture or speech. Yeah, sometimes passive listening when the lecture was so boring, when when you think the speech or lecture was not useful, then you can practice passive listening there. This I think so. This people clearly shows the difference between active and passive. First, coming to the first point, connects learning to the world. Like by active listening, it will just full. You will concentrate on lecture, right? It will just connect you to the world. Passive isolates learning from their life outside the school. Like you can see the first, you can understand the first line. I think so. Second, coming to the second, this accepts responsibility for learning. Yeah. First, accepts responsibility for learning, while passive avoids responsibility for learning. Like by if you perform if you want to perform the active listening while listening to a speech, it increases the responsibility to learn the lecture or speech. Active listening, while passive listening kills your passion and enthusiasm towards the lecture. Next point, explores questions and reflects on information. Like while you are in an active phase of listening, like you will impose questions towards the lecture, and you will ask what's this and what's that, and you will clarify your words. But that won't happen in the passive. In passive, zombie like acceptance of information. Like you will just move on with the PPT. You won't even ask the doubts. You will just move on with it like a zombie. That is one of the major difference between active and passive. Yeah. Active listeners are strong intrinsic motivators, whereas passive are external motivated. While coming to the active, engage their intellect, like they were engaged in their to learn the more knowledge they want to grab the information which was delivering the speaker. While in passive, hides or denies intellect. They won't even show any interest. They won't like it stops the gaining of your knowledge. Well, coming to the active again, prepare for class, comes to the class unprepared. Like the active listeners comes to the class or a speech before well prepared before the class. Even he goes through the PPT once before coming to class. Whereas passive listeners won't even prepare and don't even listen to the class too. Active listeners have open-minded and interest in the ideas, whereas open-minded means they will ready to accept anything. Whereas passive close-minded, intolerant of ideas. Like they won't even accept the ideas of the speaker which was going to deliver. These are the major difference of active versus passive listening. Yeah, when to use passive listening? Yeah, even there are some advantages with the passive listening. Yes, but not most, but a few. Let us discuss those. Listeners should use passive listening in scenarios where they do not need, yeah, where they do not need to pay full attention to the meaning of the speaker's words or express through their actions, and they are listening. Some scenarios when passive listening can be useful include, like, mm, passive listening in some cases when the lecturer was so bored, when the speaker who are delivering speech was doesn't have any pat- particular idea of the topic, trying to convey you with the wrong ideas, then you can perform the passive listening. I think so. You can perform the passive listening there, but it was not recommendable to perform passive listening for any lecture. If the speaker was good or bad, try to be an active listener, not passive listener, unless and until you are so bored towards the speaker. Now let us see unrelated information. If the speaker is communicating information that does not relate to you or not being addressed directly to you, it's acceptable to listen passively to the information the speaker is sharing. For instance, if the speaker is communicating to a group of individuals but it is directing their comments towards a specific person on other individuals in the group, can practice passive listening. Like if you are in a session, like the speaker is totally concentrated on one person, then it's, yeah, then you can practice passive listening there, where speaker was concentrated to only one, like he is not pinpointing each and everyone in the group, not pinpointing each and individual towards the group. There you can prefer passive listening, but even it depends on you. If the lecture was so good, you can perform the active listening there instead of passive. But if you are completely bored, you are not understanding what the speaker is saying, and he's only discussing the personal issues with the one individual in the group, then there you can perform the passive listening. This is the whole uh, slide talks about. Now coming to the next slide. casual ca- uh, Casual conversations. Yeah, casual conversation. Sometimes casual conversations include many pieces of information that are not important to listeners to actively. Casual conversation comes when you were discussing with your friends in an informal way. The casual conversation is an informal way, basically. You can see, for instance, a casual conversation with a close friend may not require individual to pay attention to every word or show the speaker they are fully engaged, as the topics they are covering in the conversation may not be high importance. Like when you are discussing about a match, or something which was out of your academics, then you can perform the passive listening there, not giving peculiar attention or particular attention towards each and every word. You are, yeah, yeah, it's not you can't call it a passive. It will be semi between the passive and active. There you can perform even passive listening there. Yeah, these are the in situations where you can use passive listening or perform the passive listening. While coming to active listening, where should you, like, this is the major important. First you should know where should you perform the active listening and how to perform the active listening. Let me show how what is passive active and how to where to and how to perform the active listening. When to use active listening? There are many scenarios where active listening is more variable than passive listening, as people often preserve activities listening be more engaged and respectful. Individuals commonly practice active listening in the following scenarios. Let me show the scenarios where individual practice active listening. The first main thing as a student we should know in the academic was in interviews or job interviews, where you should pay full attention towards your interviewer. See, first job interviews test individuals' capacity, right? Yeah, definitely. Job interviews test the individual capacity to write their unique skills, abilities, and experience through conversation, right? Interviews often look for candidates who are actively paying attention to their statements while the interviewer was taking your interview. If you are showing a passive or respectful behavior towards the interviewer, then interviewer won't even consider your job profile or portfolio, right? Yeah, there you should definitely perform an active listening. The company and other important pieces of information associated with the position, while they are discussing many important things, or try to impose questions on you. You are, as if you are performing a passive listening and you are giving a wrong kind of stupid answers and not paying attention towards the statements, it may lead to not getting off job for you. Active listening can allow interviewers to comprehend many of the more susceptible aspects of the job and show their interviewer that they are fully engaged in the conversation. Like, this is the main scenario where you should perform active listening. I discussed how it will impact your interview, how active and passive listening impact your interview. This is the whole. This is the major important aspect where you should perform the active listening. In now again in debates here, the debates refers to formal not informal debates. In formal debates you should definitely perform the active listening. Like, debates consist of individuals exchanging well thought out ideas in an attempt to display the most logically sound arguments. Debating involves listening to the arguments made by opponents and responding based on the argument. By actively listening to the opposing arguments, individual can better prepare their own statements by responding based on information included the previous statement. Suppose if you want to reply or argue with some others in the debate, first you should listen what the others were saying, right? So there you should perform active listening. If you even if you miss one or two statements, which may result in failure of building the next statement or sentences. Like, this may lead to the audience that you don't have any grip on the topic or the ideas about the topic which you has chosen. So it's better to perform active listening in the debates. Other important considerations, like even other important considerations include many things, like individuals should practice active listening in any other conversation that is deemed to be important. Yeah, if it seems that even if you're talking to someone who are closer to you, if you thought the conversation was very important, then you should not perform passive listening, right? You should definitely perform the active listening. This shows the respect to the person they are speaking. Yeah, with and allows the professional to process important information. Here is a list of few other important conversations that may require active listening. See, you can see on my screen. First is fundraising meetings, project management meetings, training courses. This all comes under another informal way of conversation, which you should use in active listening here. Coming to the benefits of active listening, there are many benefits to the active listening. Here are some the most common ones. I will like briefly explain what main benefits, not everything, each and pinpointing towards, like not roaming around the bush. Information gathering. If many, it may be easier for individual to gather information. Wait, 1 second. Excuse me. Thank you. It may be easier for individuals to gather information when they are actively listening during conversations. Listeners who are actively listening often ask clarifying questions in order to better understand the speaker. Yeah, you will just impose the questions on the speaker to get clarity over the topic. This is one of the part of the benefits or a part of the active listening. Information recall. If individuals actively listening to the conversation, they are more likely to remember specific pieces of information the speaker expressed during the conversation. Yeah, while in the process of active listening, you will try to mimicrate, or what we call mimic, not exactly mimicrate. You will try to imitate the speaker, right? In the process of imitating the speaker, you will try to gain the more points, and you will try to remember the points which were so valuable. This is the one more benefit of the active listening. Next, information recall. Individual likely listening to the conversation, they are most likely to remember specific. Yeah, this point I discussed earlier, I think so. Engagement. Yeah, here the engagement plays a main role. Engagement basically refers to being active in the particular moment. Yeah, active listeners are likely to be preserved as being fully engaged in the conversations. This engagement has the benefit of making the speaker feel you are listening to them and you are comprehending the information that are communicating. Many individuals may react more positively to individuals they feel are fully engaged in conversations with them. Yeah, engagement. If you are not engaged with the speaker, it comes under passive listening. You won't even understand anything. It's a time waste, I think so. Tips. Let us see how to overcome passive listening. How to become an active listener. Individuals can more easily achieve active listening through several direction actions. Let me discuss few of them. use active body language. Yeah, whether while your body posture and body language and the emotions which you carry on the face reflects towards the speaker, you should make like let me read the PPT. If it may be easier for individual to gather information when they are actively listening during conversation, listeners who are actively listening often ask clarifying questions in order to better understanding the speaker. Information recall. If individuals actively listening to conversation, they are more likely to remember specific piece of information the speaker expressed during the conversation. Ade, sorry. Yeah. Individuals can more easily achieve active listening through several direct actions. Use active body language. Users can use non-verbal communication to convey their engagement. For example, making eye contact with an individual when they are speaking allows you to more easily achieve active listening. Ask questions. Asking questions can help active listeners show their interest in speaker words and help them comprehend more of the information. For example, if a speaker states that our sales were up 15% on, active listeners may respond with which quarter to again more context and convey what they are paying full attention to the speaker or not. Yeah, again, making eye contact. Maintaining eye contact can help you achieve listening by showing speakers you are paying attention to the conversation and can also assist in your comprehension. You don't need to maintain eye contact throughout the entirety of the conversation, but some eye contact is always helpful for active listeners. Like with, without eye contact, I don't think so. It makes sure or ensure that it was an active listening. Like you are one side and the speaker was one side. Without eye contact, you and speaker, even the speaker won't know whether you are understanding or like he can't even understand your grabbing levels or IQ levels. It won't be such an effective or active listening. So you should particularly make an eye contact to the speaker while you are listening. This may improve your active listening. Next, focus. By limiting outside distractions, like while a speech or lecture was delivering, there will be number of distractions, from whether it was a physical distractions or mental distractions. There will be number of distractions from outside or others or even from you, but you should avoid the distractions and focus on the main lecture. This is the point which we are discussing. Limiting distractions such as other conversations, outside noises can all increase the ability of listeners to remain involved in the conversations. Like if you distract from the main topic, it leads to you are involved in the other conversation than the main topic. It may leads to active listening in another conversation and passive listening in the current lecture. So try to avoid the distractions and stay focused towards the lecture or speaker message, so you can be so focused and it may enhance your active listening skills. These all are the whole tips to increase your active listening. Still now we have discussed complete difference between active and passive listening and what the main how to improve your active listening skills and major differences and why should we avoid passive listening. How are active listeners and passive listeners? These are we discussed till now, right? I think this PPT was helpful to you, and I make sure that you will improve your active listening skills. And thank you everyone. Thanks again. Thank you.